It's good.
In one of the previous, if hopefully not to take too long, one of the previous episodes, we talked about the privatization of Canadian healthcare.
Yeah.
Not. We mentioned it a little bit.
Yeah. Did anyone else read up on any of that? Because I have not been reading.
No, I haven't.
I am illiterate.
We know that. Nobody reads anymore. Maybe when I'm unemployed, I'll be better at reading stuff.
Honest, bro. Honest. It's so hard when you're like grinding for 8 hours. You have to focus for that long.
When you get it at work, you're like, I don't want to do anything.
That's the thing. Like a lot of people work for like 8 hours, like sometimes night shifts, and then like they'll come home and then
you get
like approached by communists like.
Bro, I'm sorry.
Have you heard about the
lovely word
workers,
of our Lord
like,
and Savior Marx? Like,
yeah, bro, I'm not trying to hear this right now, and that's me, a communist, saying that. A lot of people aren't trying to hear that. Like, at that time, you know, like.
Can I also crack into those M&Ms?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm like kind of low key, high key, very hungry.
Treatlerite right now.
It would be Treatlerite if I ordered, if I got Uber Eats to your place.
Okay. But no, privatization of healthcare is something that I'm sure we'll come back to when there's like at least a notable event, or if someone picks it up as a passion project.
Yeah.
Right now, how do I phrase this? I was about to say my passion project is the Holocaust, but I think I'll say analysis to make sure that we don't do that.
Yeah, read what is that? Read Mein Kampf and then shake your head.
Exactly.
to make sure people know what you stand
like
on.
Literally there was like a quote I saw on Twitter from like Leni Riefenstahl out in like an interview where she literally says that exact thing, where she's like, oh yeah, I mean I had to read Mein Kampf, but when I was reading, I was like shaking my head. I was like, this is bad.
Yeah. I did that when I was listening to Eminem's last album. That shit was, like, I remember a song comes on and he's like, the woke Gen Z police are coming to get me. And I literally, like, I just put I was in the bus, right? And I'm like, in case anyone can hear this, like a little bit of residual sound from my earbuds, I'm just going to, like, put my head in my hands.
Let people know.
And look a little disappointed, which I was.
Yeah.
That was a bad one. Do you see? I had my music article that I put out.
I did. Yeah.
And at the very end, I added a little paragraph that was like, it's a very interesting moment for like women in rap right now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the game has changed. And then I started reading your article, and the second paragraph was like, it's a very interesting moment for women in rap.
Spencer once again stealing from marginalized people.
I'm only human.
Someone stop this man.
Oh man.
I'm glad that it wasn't the entire article. Because that was a really close call. I panicked for a second.
That was interesting though. I like that we had the same essentially, like, we saw the same thing happening last year.
Because it's kind of crazy. Since like the 2016 was the moment to blow up in rap. Yeah. Like 14 to 2017, I'll go with. That was like, anyone could have a massive hit, and all the big guys like Future, Young Thug, Drake.
Yachty came around that time.
Yachty, every single titan name in the industry. Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. I don't know how popular he was before that, but he did.
He was very popular, but it was that wave still.
I only got into Travis Scott when he dropped Rodeo, and that was 20.
Yeah, a lot of guys were like popular and bubbling and getting bigger, but like 2014 to 2017, that solidified a bunch of superstars.
Damn, you're right.
And even now, it's like no one can blow up the same way that those people blew up unless you're a woman in rap. They can still blow up, and they can still have huge hits at random.
I think they're just rapping better sometimes.
They are.
They're just
the girlies are spitting.
They're making better music a lot of the time too, and like women.
Do you think it's because like they maybe necessarily haven't had like as much of a women haven't had as much of the limelight in rap, where like women's experiences are much more able to be like. They're not necessarily explored in the medium as much, so like now that they are, it's like
Novel.
It's novel and it's like something that you haven't seen
like
before.
Hearing women, or people like hearing women's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like this isn't saying like, oh, this is just a fad. This is like, oh, we haven't heard this before. This is new and interesting.
Yeah. Because
sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't listen to music.
No, I think there is definitely an aspect of that. Like before, there wasn't a lot of women in rap or hip hop. Like you can count on your fingers like how many women are in rap in any certain year in the early 2000s. It would be like 5 people max. But like last year, it was like you can go to like 20 different like artists, and they're all like doing really well. And I think there is a combination of like people like being more interested in hearing that aspect, but like women, I don't know. There's a they perform a lot better too. Like it's not just like the songs hit, but then because they hit, like it's like songs that like they like. People, especially the women in rap, they're doing a lot of the songs that they would like to dance to or they would like to listen to.
Yeah.
And so the performance like just becomes part of it. That's why Glorilla's song blew up before it got released, because she just did a TikTok to it and people started dancing to it, and then like some DJ played it in like some random festival somewhere, and it started blowing up. So like it's actually like it's not just like about their experiences, but it's also something that entertains other people. And yeah, like the rapping is just it's kind of wild. Like the good rappers in the last 5 years are like 5 maybe, and then for the men, and then the women category is like they're matching them. Like and that's not to say that that wasn't the case back in the day.
You had to look more.
Yeah, they just didn't have a lot of opportunities.
Also, I think there has been a real moment for a lot of the guys from 2014 to 2016 where a lot of them are clearly past their prime. Like if you go back and you hit Young Thug and listen to like Slime Season 2, it is like it still has this like weirdly slow energy, but it's really entertaining. He's like screeching in his ad-libs, finding these like really weird pockets, and then you listen to it now and he's just kind of doing a steady flow. You listen to Drake and he used to be like a more emotional Lil Wayne where he would still go in.
Yeah.
And now he's just like very passive and very gentle. Future he's always kind of been like that.
Future is still like I haven't even listened to Young Thug really past Jeffrey, and Jeffrey was 2016 exactly. But like Future, I would say like has still kept because these guys get a lot of love from their local cities too, in a way that like you would never see anywhere in Canada. Like Future gets played by Atlanta radios, regardless of whether or not it's a trash album. Like because like Future has been has supported Atlanta, has been an image of Atlanta, and like they want to promote their artists. Quebec does that actually.
You also don't really need to hear Future. He'll do a project with Metro Boomin, and the beats will be good enough. The bass will be loud enough.
Future is actually interesting because some of his songs, you're like, bro, is this actually like? Some of my friends don't like Future in a funny way, where like I don't know, it's not even like a lyrical miracle preference. It's just they don't understand the flow. I guess they don't get it. They don't get the flow, and I understand that. Like,
if you're not in a Future mood, it truly is a miserable experience.
And if you don't know, him at all, but
it's like it's a non-romantic slow song in a club kind of thing. A lot of his music, and that's a very specific atmosphere to be in. Like for the fellas, who's out there like really spitting? You have like Jid. And then you really gotta start digging. Oh my God. And that's when you get into even Griselda's slowing down these days a little bit.
I liked in your thing you had like Griselda as like a genre of their own kind of slash rap. That was pretty cool. Like that.
They're in my mind, like I remember there was a Conway line where he just dropped like It was like 2015, and he just said, "Look, guys, I hear you, and I'm not mad, but I'm listening to all your albums, and they're a little more Griselda-esque." And then I started listening to shit, and I was like, "Okay, this is kind of Griselda adjacent. They're picking beats that are like that. They're doing coke rap. They're picking flows that are like that. Just not all the time, but a little bit more."
What's coke rap? I don't know that.
Coke rap is the guys. It's like Pusha T. What has Pusha T rapped about other than selling coke and like women? You'll notice 20 plus year career that is consistently fantastic. Yeah. He has only had one subject.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, look, he was the best coke pusher.
Yeah.
His name is after his profession, and it's like, I'm gonna rap about it. Okay, true. I haven't really heard much about that.
And if you go to Griselda, Benny the Butcher's like I'll sell coke and it goes crazy.
Yeah.
West Side Gun is like this mixture of like selling coke and like prison bars and wrestling stuff, like the entertainment showmanship of it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So you ever waited for a burger on a Wednesday? No, that's like actually like.
And then like Conway the Machine is a little bit more like melodramatic, where he's like, I'm doing this, but it is kind of like a sad story, and I've been shot, and I'm half my face is paralyzed. And then you have fucking Boldy James, and he's clearly like depressed, and he's like, I do this because there's nothing else out there for me.
There is like, even though it might sound ridiculous to some people, like when what's his name, who said that you ever had burgers on a Wednesday line?
That was West Side Gun. Yeah.
So when West Side Gun says that, like, that's actually representative like of the prison treatment, right? Like, they only had burgers on Wednesdays, and so that was something they actually had to, like, were looking forward to. Like, I remember someone, what is his name? Kendrick Lamar's cousin, Baby Keem, like, talked about like the first and the 15th is the only religion, and or like something about like the only time you're allowed to call your family member who's in prison. And like it might not come off as, it might not, like, I don't know, it might not hit as hard, but like there is like that underbelly of like, nah, these guys are like talking about like, you know, like real shit that we don't really are privy to, and so like it
those who know.
If you know, you know, literally.
West Side Gun truly has like absolutely phenomenal like prison bars. And it is so easy to go over your head because it's so specific. And also just because he's like that much of a showman, you can think it's just like a hype thing. And it just, you get lost in the beats. That's the other thing that coke rappers are good at, is they only rap about one thing, but they do all these producer collab albums that are like by far the most interesting musical choices in rap now. Like Boldy James, most boring rapper you could ever put on if you put him over like the same beats. But instead he does producer collabs that change up every single time, which adds like a flair to it. And then he'll accidentally do a collab album with a producer that does something trap like, and it's the most boring album you've ever heard. You know, you win some, you lose some, I guess.
Wait, one second. Before we move on to actual politics, because our listeners will probably die, and Liam too.
R.I.P. Well, you guys needed to queen out about rap for a little bit.
It's
respectable.
I'm having fun out here. To all our listeners, I wrote an article the other day that was all the albums I listened to last year. I think there were 39 in there, and I realized I missed one, but such is life. And by far and away the best album, Mock Homie with Rich Ass Haitian. And I actually, I'll pull up my shit.
I agreed with like your top. I think you rated Brat high. I agree with that. I think you rated GNX high. I agree with that too, and Rich Haitian as well.
I thought you were gonna beef with me over GNX. I rated it pretty high, but I thought you would. I think you were gonna beef with it not being high enough.
Yeah, I thought about writing a response article. I was like, nah, let people enjoy this.
You're allowed to be a hater, all right?
Was it? Yeah, Brat. No, Brat. I think is one of the best albums like that came out last month. I actually like
last month.
Yeah. Time flies,
sir. This is January.
Holy shit, 31st January. It feels like so much has happened.
Yeah. Okay, you actually now mentioned an album that I have listened to.
Yes.
Because I'm just such a non-critical music listener that I think Brat was the first time I ever, like, in a long time that I've listened to an album in full.
Yeah. That's good. I think, like, because Brat and you
Brat was
a good one.
fun.
Yeah,
Brat was good.
Brat
it was good
so
party
good.
music.
Yeah.
It was, the thing that, God, it sucks that it has such a cringe, like,
association.
You
know what?
You know what?
Yeah. You just gotta do what I do. Just forget Kamala Harris even existed.
Even before the Kamala Harris.
I already have.
Because look, we don't hear about her anymore.
Yeah.
She lost. She's a big loser.
It's gone.
Kamala Harris lost the election. Bigly.
Honestly, crashing out in the end, kind of Brat. kind of Brat.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's not, okay.
Crashing out Kamala style.
Brat.
Ignoring all the Harris associations, let's hear your
so
thoughts.
even before that, there was like some kind of like I don't like because I don't know, maybe people didn't really take it seriously, but it was getting plays, and that's fine. But like I think it got memed on a bit too much, that people didn't take the album as seriously as it probably was. Or
but it was like a solid pop album, and it was like really exciting.
Yeah,
I think it was. I mean, I really don't listen to music on the radio much anymore, so because like of course I don't friggin' drive a car. But it seems that at least like of like top 40s, like any sort of like pop stuff, it seems like it was the most, like, at least from what I've heard other people say, the most like some of the most interesting pop music to come out this year.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. Maybe this is just me being too like nitpicky. I don't know. So I think.
I mean, but you're like a music connoisseur, and you make your own music, and you do have audio equipment, so like it's fine. You're in the role of a critic here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot, like, because she produced the whole album herself as well, and like the production was so far ahead of like. It's actually incredible how well it's
Sophie's protege.
Literally
one of the songs is dedicated to Sophie.
And
she talked about how, like, I think at least in one interview, like, her relationship with Sophie. Yeah. I think like Sophie's worked with her before, so like I mean, it's more hyper pop than pop, but like I think, like, you know, it's like it's something innovative with pop that like a lot of. I mean. Pop as a genre is often quite stagnant.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, when I realized that So I was about Sophie, that shit changed the game. Because I'm still very consistently listening to Sophie.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to her new album. I often choose not to do posthumous albums unless it's something that was already pretty definitively done and I've known about it.
I agree with you.
But like, holy fuck, man. I figured out learned about Pony Boy from fucking Guitar Hero. Alright?
Guitar Hero?
Yes.
That is kind of crazy that it's on Guitar Hero.
Pony Boy blew up on Guitar Hero the second it was released.
That's like the most like 2011 ass shit I've ever heard.
In the Guitar Hero modding community. And that shit actually blew my mind. And the amount of times I've like just gone back to like, if I need something crazy, I can listen to fucking Face Shopping and Pony Boy. And then Brat allowed like a lot of other songs where it's not as insane, but it is still very hard hitting in the way it goes about it. I fucking loved Brat.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is since I'm barely on social media, I don't really recognize most cringy associations that are out there with fandoms.
So you just had a good time.
Yeah, I literally, I was just out there. I was sitting in my car alone listening to Back to Back like 3 times back to back with just like a shit-eating grin on my face. I was loving it.
Yeah.
Nana, in like the Twitter spaces you're on, did they talk a lot about Brat when it came out?
Yes, but not a lot. They talked about like some people said Brat's good, and then kind of like it wasn't
in depth or it wasn't fandoming.
Yeah, I wish people like gave it the props it deserved.
Because I know I think neither of us are on these sections of Twitter, but there was a lot of like good buzz around Twitter. A lot of it's obviously like from the white gay party gays who like love love her already.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I'm not really in those spaces, so I didn't really get a good vibe of like how the buzz was like.
Maybe I will write an article on this, but
you should write more articles.
Brat, like just a quick summation on like my opinion and why I think it's 10 out of 10. My favorite albums last year, Brat and GNX, I think.
All right. I'll take it.
Like literally, and like coming up close would be Chief Keef's album. I forgot the name, but that's the anyway.
Is that the one with the toy soldiers on the cover?
No.
That was a couple years ago, right? Yeah. I didn't realize that Chief Keef had another banger out. Okay.
He did.
It's a shame that I missed that. I haven't been doing as much Chicago since Duck and Vaughn died. So it's...
Damn, you said enough for me. No Dirk, no...
Dirk, I enjoy Dirk as a feature. I haven't listened to that, like, much solo Dirk. But I was really big into FBG Duck.
Damn.
I was huge on it. It was a bad week, man. It was a bad week. Anyways, keep going.
Brat. So, I don't remember exactly what Charlie XCX's definition of Brat was, but I think you can tell in the album there is this, like, fluctuation of what it feels like to be, like, at her level, especially as a woman. And there are constant themes of, like, having to, like, push other people down to big yourself up. And then in the next, almost immediately, the next song is I'm the best. And then after that, it's like, fuck, I fucked up. Like, that tumultuous nature of, like, being a star and, like, the things you have to sacrifice to get there. Yeah. And, like, how it weighs on you. Plus, the incredible production where, especially, like, when she, in the, what is the one, when I get to the club, I want to dance with me. What is that called? Anyway, in that song...
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I think literally the next song is, like, I want to dance with Sophie.
Yeah.
Or I want to dance to Sophie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that song, she...
she's not saying, I want to dance with me. I want to dance to me. I want to dance to Sophie.
Yeah.
I want to dance to, I think she says George, who's her partner and also now the father of her child.
True. True.
She's like listening, like she's like one like listening artist that she's like into, and of course it's like her deceased close friend.
Yeah.
The father of her child.
Yeah.
Who's her collaborator on the album too.
Yeah, and like that for a pop song, I don't know if you noticed the sampling on that song. I just want to make sure I have the right song. She takes an old. Club Classics is a song, yeah. She takes an old interview of herself talking about her music and then samples it in as the beat for this song where she says, I want to dance to me. And
it is Club Classic.
Yeah, and it was like such an incredible, and for that to like be in your pop album is so, I don't know, it's so forward facing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like, people don't do that. People don't like sample, like the beat is not a sample of an interview, at least not in pop. Like, that's been a thing in rap for a while. But
another thing that she kind of managed to achieve with Brat is that she really kind of, at least some ways, managed to keep the idea of Brat somewhere in people's heads with the marketing, but also periodically releasing remixes and songs that didn't make the cut in the album.
Right.
And some music videos as well. So, like, she was obviously also able to, like, extend the life of it by doing, like, additional content.
Yeah.
Like, I've listened to, I think the remix of Club Classics a lot more than the original.
See, I have a hot take about the remixes. I don't know if there's a remix I like better than the original.
I'm the same. I appreciate remixes. I'm generally for it. I'm also generally for people releasing an album or like some like
album?
I'm not going for remixes
Cut
with
content?
this one. Yeah, like releasing cut content for as like what's the deluxe albums? Yeah, I'm generally with it. I think it's something that's good. And like another thing that Griselda often did was they would release an album, and in between albums they would release 2 shorter albums where they're just like, this is shit that didn't make the cut 3 albums ago.
Right.
It's like, this is gonna be like a 4 out of 10, but you're gonna love 2 of the songs and you might appreciate some more. Just have the music.
There you go.
So I really like that shit, and I like the remixes coming out, even though I really didn't listen to any of them.
I think remix especially...
I listened to like probably... I think there was like the 3 big ones, like the Club Classics remix, the one she did with...
Romantic, a big remix. I think that had.
I thought Romantic was. Did Romantic have remix? I actually didn't.
It did.
I didn't. I didn't listen to that. I listened to the one with like I think 360. The one with those 2 other collaborators, and the one she had on with Addison Rae. And I can't remember which remix that was, but I actually personally I kind of like that one too. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Like, remixes are great. I think and it's a core part of club culture and like and like disco music. I don't know if it's been a part of like just pop in general, but I think this is definitely like a disco vibe kind of thing. Like back in the day, like people complain about chopped and screwed and like slowed with reverb. You know when someone would release a song and it would drop like.
Obviously, I think because of the
DJ
internet,
Screw.
Yeah.
So, my thing is that kind of like the internet is kind of like helps do this thing to death. And obviously, if Ben was here, he might be able to provide some sort of more like coherent political analysis. Because I'm sure if I had been a bit more well read, I could probably muster something. But there is something where it's like there is like the culture industry kind of does everything to death. Mm-hmm. So like any sort of interesting innovations in culture quickly get done to death and oversaturated because of course it's profitable. So like it just kind of like instead of being interesting and having a lot of lifespan, it very quickly becomes over and done with.
Right. Yeah. The part I find like, not to steal your word, interesting about that is that was a thing in the 90s. If you like go to any vinyl shop and you get like a single, a lot of the time it'll come with the chopped and screwed version.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's the funny part. Like it's just kind of like it's a different thing where like the culture is kind of reliving the past through a different kind of like.
Sorry, I've seen singles come out with Nightcore remixes attached.
Oh yeah.
All right.
there's
Gen Alpha has brought that bitch back.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting time we're in. It's a very interesting time we're in.
This like kind of dislodged something in my mind, but I remember seeing like something on Reddit that was like I think it was like a rap documentary that came out like in 2023 about like the Toronto rap scene.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just see if I can pull up real quick because I saw that and I saved the post specifically because like, oh, Nana and Spencer would probably get a kick out of this.
Yeah,
because it's about the local rap scene and it's also about this like record shop that helps promote a lot of play the record.
I have it saved.
Yeah.
It's on Prime. If you guys, any of the listeners, check it out. Play the record. I haven't watched it yet, but
because it looks like real cool and it kind of like
the store is still open. The store is still running.
And so. it's also like wild the location. It's like it's not the frontage. It's like a back room. It's literally the back room.
Oh, I haven't been in there actually.
Well, because like that was like a clip from the documentary that I saw.
True, I gotta check it
out. In this like trailer for it, is that like people were like who didn't know it were confused because it's like at the front it's like it's like it's like it's there's like porno mags and it's like a convenience store in the front and then you literally have to walk through that unit and down a hallway to like the back of the building and that's where the store is. Damn. And like when the guy got it he was like, well yeah I can get this place for cheap.
Right.
And of course like that cheap, I mean that cheap real estate can really help like drive culture because of course like artists aren't really rich.
Yeah, and people,
especially independent artists who are interested in doing stuff that isn't like that's more innovative, that's not going to make money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my recent analysis has fully come through as just being like everything. Okay, first of all, death to landlords. I think I'm just gonna start there and work back.
Landlords, yeah,
because landlords charge rent, right? That's how it works for you to be there. And what rents do is, because it's non-productive, is it just absorbs as much money as the jobs in the surrounding area can. So if like, let's say there's a very rich area, rents will be high, because like people are making that money so it can be extracted and they can still live off everything from there. But then you get things like cars and faster transportation, and that drives higher rents farther outwards. So rents rise for everyone, people get pushed away, and it's like gentrification or whatever and stuff like that. And then now we have online jobs where increasingly high rents can just make it absolutely everywhere. And if you think of like, oh, okay, why are breakfast places like $25 just to get like a sit-down breakfast or something? It's not because the food is expensive. It's because the margins, like, the food's a little expensive, but the margins are just thin because you can always make your own breakfast or go to Tim's or something.
Right.
But they have to pay this just astronomical rent. So you end up with a lot of these things, like you said, these not very profitable things, the things that people could do while they're working like part-time and just getting some food on the table that you just can't do anymore because you have to pay these astronomical rents, and to do that you have to compete with people who are working more full-time. And since like producing things is now much more risky than doing rent, the only thing you can do is rent, which just kills culture. It sterilizes everything. Like insurance is a rent that just sterilizes shit because you can't have fun because it's bad for insurance and you can't afford that rent. Like you need the house, you can't skimp on that rent because you need to live. You don't want to be sleeping under a bridge.
You just described what happened to Queen Street West, like like when back in the day when it was like kind of popping, and then now it's such a, I don't know, H&M slash Zara nightmare. Sorry, go ahead.
Back when Mademoiselle was a strip club, is that what we're talking?
I was going to say 2 points. This is something I've noticed. So the job I'm working now, I get $36.62 an hour, and it's so weird that like now going to breakfast place making that money, I'm like a lot less like $25. That's so expensive, in part because I'm like get like. The $25, say like $25 for a breakfast, is like not more than I make in an hour.
Yeah.
So like I think like almost like in some like at least in like a kind of like a gut instinct unanalytical lens, if something costs less than what it takes for you, like than what you make in an hour if you're hourly, is almost like a bellwether of how you think about like what is affordable.
Yeah.
Right.
So, say like if I like I got like a $60 meal, that would be like $60 that costs $60 for me personally. I would think about that more differently because I'm like, this is like 2 hours work for me.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead. But that's kind of the main distinction. I don't know, like. For people who think about like having to pay things in the sense of how much I have to work to pay it, versus people who don't, that's the easiest distinction between you and your class and me. If we have any like CEOs listening to this,
well, also it's just kind of like a good way of like actually have like at least a very baby's first way of material analysis. Also, I need to issue a correction. I think me and you were talking about different documentaries. Yours was Play the Record. I don't know if we were talking about the same thing, but the one I was talking about was Drop the Needle.
Yeah, I got you.
For the listeners and for you two.
The needle drop?
Drop the needle.
Yeah, it was actually a Fantano video.
Damn.
Where he went and bought porno magazines.
It's so funny. I gotta walk through all this fucking porn just to get to the good music.
Should we turn to politics now?
Yes.
After 35 minutes of music yakking.
Wait,
shit. I was like, before we even turn, at some point I'd like to have a conversation with you guys about MIA. At least her old stuff.
Oh,
like that's someone I actually have like paid attention to and listened to like a variety of her music that I'm actually familiar with, and it's like there's like this her turn to being like a schizo evangelical.
Yeah.
And I think in the first place she probably wasn't that smart, and that's why she's like an evangelical now.
Yeah.
But like a lot of her early stuff, like which I've listened to, which is more experimental, is like I was like, oh, this is like interesting, or like experimental, maybe not the case, but like music that's definitely not like pop or common in like on like Western radios.
No, I think for sure her early stuff was groundbreaking. Like it was, yeah.
But also even stuff into like the 2010s, there's stuff I like Madadaha, Broader Than a Scroll, which is like no longer on YouTube, which is tragic, is something I really liked. I also really liked her track Born Free.
Is that new? I haven't heard of that.
No, this is all kind of like stuff that's at least a decade old.
True, I don't remember that one. But yeah, like I don't even know how you say it.
MIA.
MIA's.
And I think it's also literally her name is Mia or Maya.
They were gonna UFT did a movie screening of a documentary about her, specifically for something month. Where is she from?
She's from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so probably Sri Lankan Heritage Month, I think.
Her dad was one of the political honchos in the Tamil Tigers.
Oh, true. Anyway,
so she has like some of her politics were previously like kind of third worldism.
Yeah.
But like her turn to evangelicalism, to me at least, like kind of like signifies like even if you are a third worldist, this is why you kind of need a Marxist grounding. Otherwise, you just become like some fucking crazy person.
They had to put in the description. They said we do not support any of this artist's most recent statements. This is just a thing to promote Sri Lankan heritage.
Yeah,
that's how you know something's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Speaking of not supporting the person who created the thing we likes actions, Tesla owners, are you gonna drop that shit or what? Are Tesla owners gonna sell their Tesla now that Elon Musk did a Nazi salute?
I think I've seen some Redditors do that.
Tesla owners are so deep in the pit right now because the second you like your credit card processes for the Cybertruck, its value drops by like 60%.
That's crazy.
Unfortunately the child decapitators can't even make it as far as the closest school. They keep on breaking. Insurance companies are no longer insuring them properly, like, because they have to register as armored vehicles, which is super expensive. Jesus. Everything is bad for Cybertrucks, and I love seeing it so much, man.
You were saying something about people actually doing it?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, I saw, like, some people, like, some Redditors returning their Teslas or shit, or Cybertrucks, but I was gonna say also, like, the people who buy Teslas or Cybertrucks, they're not your average Joe.
Before though,
even now with Tesla, like the Tesla sedans being a lot cheaper, they're definitely like an upper middle class kind of person.
Yeah, they're definitely upper class people, but they are the upper class liberal type people who are trying to like get a more.
Well, I think since I think maybe like 2020 to pre 2020,
right?
Elon was a little bit more lib coded because that's when everyone was like throating him.
Yeah, exactly.
But and like.
That's when he was on Iron Man or whatever the fuck.
He was on Iron Man way back in the day, but he was also like name dropped in like new Star Trek.
Yeah.
As like one of the great inventors.
Wait, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, the guy who did
it is quite cringe if you watch it.
Holy shit.
This was like peak Elon Musk glazing era. But I do remember at the time there was like a lot of snide right-away remarks about Teslas being like, oh, like, I mean, this is like kind of valid, but it's still whatever. Like, oh, you have to like do like slave mining in the Congo for cobalt, that sort of thing. And obviously, you know, like they use it just as like a disingenuous thing as like to why they don't want to do something because like electric cars are like for sissy fags. But like I think now since Elon Musk has shown his like true Hitlerian colors, there's a little bit more a broad appeal, and I think now more like a right appeal to Elon Musk. So maybe this is how we get Republicans to get get electric vehicles.
I think you actually have to I think you actually have to say it's
literally have to just reincarnate Henry Ford.
Yeah. That reminds me of this guy.
I wonder when he's gonna start. Oh, sorry. I was just about to say. I wonder when Elon Musk is going to reboot the Dearborn Independent.
So he was in before I say what he was in Star Trek. He was in The Simpsons. He was in Iron Man. Like, people glaze this guy so much for I don't know, for God knows what. And now he's like an indelible part of all these pieces of like our culture. Mm-hmm. And the guy did a Nazi salute. But God,
two.
Twice.
Yeah, he doubled down, and not only that, but like, okay, so I'm gonna spoil a upcoming episode, which is probably, as all of our upcoming episodes do, never gonna make it in daylight. But on top of that, like,
episode.
Save for a Kissinger episode. So many articles just immediately refuse to say, what he did. They refuse to say that he was fucking Sieg Heiling on the stage.
And they'd always include a picture, which, you could obviously interpret as just caught in the middle of a gesture. I saw like a lot of right-wing people showing a still from like a Kamala Harris speech where she's like gesturing about
she said cut something out,
and then she has like her arm at that angle. Now admittedly I do agree with them that she is a Nazi, but obviously they were this is kind of like a disingenuous playing down of it, because if you actually play the clip instead of show a picture, it's a lot more obvious what he did, because he pounded his chest and fucking threw that shit out there. Hand throw out, straight arm, palm open and facing down. When you see the video, it becomes a lot more obvious, because you can see there's a lot more physical intent and it's less an awkward gesture. Because you can catch people like having like what looks like a Nazi salute. At it, if you take a still of it, because when you're gesturing with your hands, you could have it at a certain angle, but he did it in a very particular manner and
turned around. Did it again. Exact same thing again, in case you missed it.
So when you watch it, it's a lot less ambiguous. And of course, we saw like the media real time, just like covering this shit up.
Gesture,
before
Gesturegate,
because I want to continue on this for a while, because I think it's actually pretty fun. But I need to give a little bit of additional context to this for just how much of a scumbag, like a shithead Elon is, and how much he's not actually smart, and how much he doesn't do his own stuff. Is that Elon got caught saying, I have like a really high level account on Path of Exile, a video game. And he streamed the game for people and clearly did not know, like, how to use the map in the game. He couldn't navigate the map properly. So he literally paid someone to get a high-level account in a video game that's very grindy. One, if you're playing a grindy video game that much, you're clearly not working hard. But we already know that he's not working hard. But, like, why is he trying to appeal to Path of Exile players? You're trying to be a CEO. You can be mysterious and weird and all of that.
He wants to try and look... Okay, so
he's so pathetic. Sorry, go ahead.
Look like a smart CEO. Stop trying to pretend to be a no-life gamer.
But I think because he's like an autistic fan child, that's the kind of person he wants to come across as.
But it's such a niche crowd to be impressed. Like, a lot of people hear, oh, he's a top player in Path of Exile, and they're like, okay, I don't know that. Like,
what the fuck is Path of Exile?
So I think the thing is that ultimately, you guys ever heard of the phenomena of the soy right?
No.
So kind of like the right wing that's a little like cringy and dumb and like embarrassing and probably a little effete. Kind of like a lot of 4chaner people are like that. Kind of like also like really weepy about things. So they'll be like insanely racist, reactionary, but they're also kind of like weepy or like kind of stupid, or even like, if you want to be like, also pin it on them, like effeminate too. Hence the epithet soy. Where, because like as like saying like this is what you're actually looking like compared to like what traditionally right wingers and fascists like to look like as like hyper masculine entities. So like, he wants to and does kind of appeal to that like online soy right 4chaner demographic, who are like big into video games, are neats, not all of whom, but some of whom are artistic. I'm not blaming all my artistic homies, but like at least the mindset of a 4chaner is like they have like this weird fascination with autism as a culture, as like a cultural phenomenon for them. They have this obsession with video games. A lot of them are kind of losers and socially idolating. And he wants to appeal to those kind of people because those kind of people, in some ways, also are like culturally cutting edge on the internet. At least not exclusively the soy right, but like the vague 4chan sphere.
Yeah, the Nazis have always been ahead of the internet curve.
Because like we know for a fact that a lot of memes and a lot of internet culture has come from 4chan, whether or not it's from the right-wing spaces of it. So 4chan still has this cultural cachet.
Right.
And so I think, did you see when he crashed out on 4chan?
No.
Elon Musk.
Wait, what? He was on 4chan?
Yes, he was on 4chan as an anonymous account, I think. And, like, he was basically trying to, like, fit in and, like, gas up Elon Musk. And a lot of people on there were having none of it. And he kind of crashed out. And I think he signed off as, like, after, like, a whole thing of, like, this whole spiel of, like, saying, well, fuck you guys anyway. He signed off as saying, "Keck you later, Anons."
And that's like, oh my god.
These are losers. These guys are fucking. I'm sorry.
And even these losers don't like him. But this is like peak soy right behavior.
If he's trying to be like a big Nazi, it would make sense that he's going for like decrepit loser Nazis. Like that. Yeah, because
there are kind of two types of Nazis. Like kind of like the ones who are at least maybe not exclusively, but who more successfully mold themselves to like the hyper masculine, virile image of a fascist. But then there's also like these weepy nerds who are kind of weak, kind of soy, and are just like not that cool.
Yeah.
And he is kind of like I think he's just always been that kind of guy, and he wants to appeal to them because sometimes these guys are kind of funny, they're kind of witty, but like they kind of rejected him in the ultimate like soy right space of 4chan.
That's so pathetic. Shout out to Rebecca Shaw. I haven't even read this fucking article, but she wrote an article with the title, "I knew one day I'd have to watch powerful men burn the world down. I just didn't expect them to be such losers."
Yes.
They are like, God, they are like so fucking pathetic. I can't believe that.
Attaching him to another loser. One thing like that I kind of dislike. This is a hair that I don't need to split, but it's fun to every now and then throw it out there. Is to say that like Trump is not a fascist, because if he was a real fascist as a leader, he would have shown up on January 6th. But he's too weak and pathetic to show up to his own movement.
Right.
You know, he couldn't bring himself to do that. If he did, probably could have won.
Yeah.
But he's just too weak to do that.
Yeah.
But you go.
I was gonna say I need to correct myself on quoting Elon. It was "Keck you friends later, Anons."
Oh, even worse.
Yeah, FRENS. Like
PSA.
Pepe, cutesy, 4chan speak. Flaming out.
As anyone who's listening to this, if you write Keck, you're a fucking loser. If you do the Pepe shit, God, you're a loser. I'm sorry. Like, there's no maybe there's people who are doing it ironically today, but like there's even personally, like, I feel like I'm a loser sometimes because like I regret even knowing some of these like people online who are losers. I regret that like when I hear Destiny, I don't think of a video game, and I think of like another fucking loser online.
Did you also see Destiny's Flame Out?
I did, and fuck that. I don't even want to.
Nice guy.
Hey, look.
Digress.
Bennett is not here. We can talk about Twitch streamers the entire episode.
Yeah, but I don't.
Mom's gone.
I don't like that I know him though. That's the thing. Like I honestly wish like I that part of my mind was put towards other things.
Okay. More information that I did kind of forget is that Elon Musk was using this alt account called Adrian Dittman, which was also his Twitter account that he would constantly deny was his. And the background for his sign off on 4chan was like 4chaners were like clocking Adrian Dittman as Elon Musk, and they're like, "You're a fucking poser. What the fuck? Why are you doing this dumb shit?" And then so like the whole post of him flaming out is, "This thread is full of negativity. I'm out of here. Enjoy your anger and resentment. Happy New Year. I got a feeling it's going to be a great one. Keck you friends later at Nons." Like, kind of so weepy and like dumb.
God. Anyway, let's talk about some.
Yeah, let's change tracks.
Let's stay exactly on this track, but I'm gonna bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is like, I've got like my ADHD, OC, whatever spectrum shit that I've had for however long, and I function pretty well. But there is a lot of like fundamental, like I'm good in front of crowds, and I know this. I'm comfortable, I'm confident, I generally am like well enough spoken. I do a good job, but before I go up, there is this extreme terror before I'm there. When, like, I know I have tics. I don't have full control over what comes out of my mouth a lot of the time. If I slow down, I'm good. But also, sometimes my body just does shit. Like, I've just thrown my phone across the room randomly for no good reason. I just, like, do that. My neck spasms here and there when the lighting is a specific way. So there is stuff like, what if I go in front of a crowd and I say something? Or what if I fucking Sieg Heil? Never happened. It has never happened. But there's a fundamental terror
Even
there.
if you spasm
and like,
in something that looks like a Sieg Heil, what Elon did was so obviously purposeful when you watch it. Because if you're spasming, I don't think you're going to lock your elbow like that. And at the same, like literally have that clean of a gesture.
Yeah, like he did that with muscles flexed.
That's not like, that's not like physical, like that's not like some sort of physical Tourette's.
Yeah. Like, if I, like, let's say, for the first time this happened, it's me speaking in front of my friends, and for some reason I drop a Sieg Heil, I'd be, like, suicidal for 6 days. I'd be doing everything to be like, man, fuck my life. Like, I gotta fix everything. I gotta make sure everyone knows. He went up and just, like, didn't even deny it.
Yeah. And the thing...
And it was... Oh, sorry. You go first.
So the thing that's just shut down, like, any... I guess anyone trying to say, oh, it was just a gesture. The neo-Nazis liked it. And, and then he went on Twitter and started making Nazi jokes. He didn't say anything about it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
He did a gesture and the neo-Nazis liked it, and then he made Nazi jokes about it, like, after.
Yeah, and this is something I also feel like I need to reiterate, because, like, I think I was maybe being a little edgy before when talking about 4chan autists, is that, like, Elon Musk was being defended by, like, Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL, and the ADL itself, saying that,
pathetic,
like,
man.
Trying to pass off what Elon did as, like, some sort of, like, involuntary, like, autistic gesture, like, trying to do that, and I'm like, I'm not autistic, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is, like, so infantilizing, so awful, so, like, just, it was just so, like, gross to see them try to pass it off as such. I'm like, fucking autistic people are human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot, like, you know, a lot of them are adults. Some autistic people have, like, a lot more trouble with social cues and the like. But I'm pretty sure, like, no autistic person who isn't a Nazi would, like, really ever do that. It was just like, oh my god. It was throwing, like, all people on the autism spectrum under the bus.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was infuriating. I mean, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, as an organization, has been, like, gross for a very long time.
Yeah. They call everything anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
and then they see a guy that is already, we know, has a lot of Nazi tendencies.
Yeah.
And has, like, very publicly had a lot of Nazi... Like, he had to go and visit Auschwitz because he did anti-Semitic shit and he was called out for it. Like, we know that he believes that stuff, and he went up and he Sieg Heiled in front of a crowd, and they immediately went to bat for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the ADL kind of, like, backed down and was pretty obsequious to Elon, so that kind of shows you what kind of organization they are if you don't know much of their history, which includes spying on anti-apartheid activists, not anti-Israel apartheid, but anti-South African apartheid activists during the 80s and 90s, and selling, like, passing information on to the South African police about these activists.
Yeah.
So they have, like, a long
they
history
knew what
of,
was
like,
coming, I guess.
spying on people and, like, serving, like, functionally what I would term enemies of humankind.
Yeah, and you'd be correct. Fuck the ADL.
Maybe, like, I think what they started off was doing was, like, you know, fine, trying to combat anti-Semitism in America. But for a very long time, it seems like their mission is shifted to shield Israel at all costs.
Yeah.
And to cast anything anti-Israel as anti-Semitic. I think, you know, they still probably do, like, I think, probably do a lot of maybe valuable anti-Semitic messaging. But at this point now, it's, like, so tied up in defending Israel that it is, like, so hard to separate the two institutionally, and the ADL has such a bad history now that I think, like, they've in some ways become useless, especially now defending Elon Musk, going to bat for him. And then after he was making all this, like, heinous Nazi jokes on Twitter, then they got all weepy about it. But I mean, like, you guys kind of, like, are a little late to the punch there when you went to bat for him doing a sick Heil.
Like, it literally doesn't matter.
Like, I'm
when
sorry,
he hit
guys,
that
like,
shit with a period, you went to bat for him, and then he stuttered it, and you got worried.
I'm sorry, but, like, if Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib did the exact same gesture, you would be...
They would be deported. They wouldn't
be deported, but, like, the ADL would be all over it.
No, I honestly think if, especially Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar, people who have spoken out against Israel did something almost akin to that, they would, like...
Today they might be deported.
Like, there would actually be...
I don't know
what. I mean, I don't really know if you could,
arrest.
like... I mean, like, there would be calls for arrest, but, like, I mean, deported, I don't think you could deport Rashida Tlaib, because I think she's, like, a second or third generation Arab American.
Ilhan Omar will be back. Like,
Ilhan Omar is from Somalia. Right?
You shouldn't be able to... you shouldn't be able to deport her, but frankly... with the guys in charge, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
And, speaking of the guys in charge, tariffs.
Oh, okay. This is 57 minutes in. I'm releasing the intro as an entire episode. Thanks for listening.
I was honestly thinking that we should cut out the music part and just make it as its little own standalone.
Oh, I'm keeping the music part in there.
I'm
just gonna say, like, listen to this shit.
I don't know.